Should I flip my house? My client asked me this question. I'm watching houses in my neighborhood get flipped and be sold 3 times more than what my house is worth. If I were to sell my house in its current condition, am I leaving lots of money on the table? So we had multiple phone calls, conversations, discussions to answer her question thoroughly. And this video is made of all those conversations. And this information would have been super useful for me 20 years ago when I flipped my first home. But here's the truth. For most people who are asking, should I flip my house? The answer is no. But if you're not most people, there are 3 questions, and if you answer them thoroughly, it'll help you decide whether or not flipping your house makes sense for you. It'll save you from wasting a lot of money, energy, stress, arguments, fights, which stems from not doing proper due diligence. So these are the 3 questions. What is your baseline? What's the ceiling? Can you actually compete? Let's answer these questions one by one very thoroughly. What's your baseline? Basically, what you're trying to figure out is how much is your home worth in its current condition? If you were to sell it as is. Well, actually, side note, I don't recommend my clients to sell their home as is. That's just a way to leave money on the table. So realistically speaking, you're going to spend 2 or 3 months doing a little bit of decluttering, a little bit of cleaning, a little bit of staging, maybe paint this room or fix this and fix that. And so to make the house a little bit more appealing. Let's say you did that, and if you were to put your house on the market in 2 or 3 months with that condition, realistically, how much is your home worth? And because this is just an exercise, you don't have to hire a realtor or pay for an appraiser. You can just do this in DIY style. One of the ways you can do is go into your favorite app, whether it's Zillow or Redfin or Homes.com. And by the way, Homes.com's online estimation gives you kind of breakdown of where they're getting their information from and what those sources are saying your home is worth. But you do want to be aware that these online estimators may be off. I've seen as much as $300,000 off because there's nobody visiting your house to take a look at what your home current condition is. Especially if you bought your house more than 10 years ago, or if you've bought your house and done some work to it, then these estimates could be off. But you can do a very simple search in your neighborhood in the past 2 or 3 or 4 months. How much did a similar home, let's say 2 or 3 houses that's similar to yours, size-wise, look-wise, neighborhood, atmosphere-wise, how much did they sell for? So you can get some idea. And for this exercise, you don't need to be worried about being so precise or correct. If you're off by $30,000 or $50,000, it's not going to break the calculations. So once you have your baseline number, you'll be using that number to figure out the delta from this point on. So step 2 is figuring out what's the ceiling. If you were to do this big renovation, how much can you sell it for? In this step, what you want to do is become very familiar with your local real estate market. You want to see the landscape. So open up your favorite app and see how much are the top maximum priced homes in your neighborhood. How much are they being sold for? And what other houses are being sold for? What are the numbers? And where are you relative to this scale? If your home is kind of down below and the houses that are being sold at the top price is triple or more than triple, there is some hope that this might be a good idea. But what I would advise to my clients is it's too high of a risk if there were just one or two houses being sold at the top price, triple your current baseline. And maybe one or two houses being sold somewhere in the middle, and the rest of the houses are being sold in a similar range to your baseline price. Because if you look at it from the buyer's perspective, people who are looking for houses. Actually, let me give you some concrete numbers to make this a little bit more clear. Here in Northern Virginia, there are definitely pockets of neighborhoods where flipping a house makes sense. And if you were to sell your house in its current condition, let's say you can sell it for $750,000. I know it's a lot of money. $750,000. And if you were to flip your house and sell it, you can actually turn it into $2.5 million home. Yes, here in Northern Virginia, you can do that. There are neighborhoods like that. And so let's go with this example where your current market price of your home, where your baseline is $750,000, and the top selling homes are $2.5 million. That's more than triple. And I would still advise my clients to don't do flip if there's just one or two houses being sold for $2.5 million, and maybe one or two houses sold for $1.5 million, and the rest of the homes are sold at $650,000 to $850,000, somewhere in that range. The reason why I advise against flipping in this case is because the houses that are at the low price, there are just majority of them. And if you were to go on with the flip, you'll be on the bleeding edge. You'll be swimming against the current. You'll be battling uphill. It's going to be really hard to sell because most of the time, buyers who are looking for $2.5 million home would not be looking in a neighborhood where most of the homes are under $1 million. That's the reality. So I'm going to define this scenario where there's only a few houses that are sold at the highest prices. I'm going to call that red light, like a no-go condition. A yellow light condition would be there are a little bit more houses that are sold at the triple price point, and maybe a few more houses in the mid-range, and then the rest of them will be around the baseline price. So in this kind of gray area or the yellow light scenario, what would shift the needle is if you have a really good experience, a thorough experience of home renovation. Let's say you've done a major home renovation in the past. You have some taste of what it's like, what it takes. Maybe you've managed it. Maybe you've even, maybe you were involved in the project. Maybe you were like hands-on, like in it. So that changes the needle a bit, makes it a little bit towards the greenish light. Also, another thing that would move the needle is you may know some other information besides your local real estate market. Maybe there's some economic changes, like a big company is bringing their headquarters nearby, or like this dead shopping mall is going to turn into something a little bit more exciting, a little bit more modern. Or maybe there's a metro station opening up in your neighborhood a few years from now. So the outside economy is going to lift up the entire neighborhood. maybe you can ride that wave by flipping the house and making money that way. Another thing that could shift the needle is if your goal is not necessarily to make lots of money for this flip, but gain lots of experience, then I would say, yeah, it's worth it. When I did my flip, I felt like I have gone to college and got a bachelor's degree in home building, home design, marketing, staging, building codes, uh, you name everything that's involved in flipping a house, and where to get your materials, what's a higher quality material. It just goes on and on and on and on. And of course, the second flip is much easier at that point. And the reason why I said at the beginning of the video where this information would have been useful for me is because I spent so much time during my home flipping process doing lots of research and figuring stuff out on the go. So I definitely wasted a lot of time. And yeah, even though I didn't make tons of money at that time, I gained a lot of knowledge and experience. So if you're in this yellow light, maybe your goal is a little bit different. So yellow light actually looks green to you. So what's a green light scenario? Green light scenario is where multiple houses are being sold at that triple price point. Let's say 10 or even 12 houses, let's say a dozen houses being sold for, let's use that example of Northern Virginia homes, $2.5 million. And your house is $750,000, and they're a good kind of spread range of houses. Then it's definitely a green light scenario where home flipping looks like it's a good opportunity to make money. If you are planning to hire everybody, hire all the people who's going to do the work, and you have no knowledge about, no previous experience of home renovation, or if you've never managed any part of home renovation project before, and you're just thinking, well, I'm going to hire everybody, I'm going to hire a contractor to do this work, that's going to require even more delta between the baseline and the max price you can sell it for. Because in that scenario where it's the ceiling is just triple, the contractors are going to make good money. You'll be creating labor in the economy, but you won't really gain a whole lot. It's at that point, I would say it's not going to be worth it. It's only going to be worth it if you're going to be managing the project, you're going to be hiring subcontractors, and you're going to be doing some of the project. The more of the work you're going to be doing, of course, the better. You can pay yourself. If you're partnering with one other person who's skilled or has a lot of experience, maybe you and this other person can make good, hard-earned money. It's an honest, in my opinion, home flipping is an honest money if you're going to do good quality renovation. And everybody wants high quality homes. But another caveat I forgot to mention that's going to maybe upset you. I'm going to be a blunt here, okay? If you are not able to distinguish between high quality, custom designed, made with quality materials, with a quality craftsmanship, versus cookie cutter, builder grade types of homes. I mean, each of them could have its own higher quality, lower quality, higher quality, lower quality variations. But if you cannot distinguish the two, or if you cannot distinguish the variations, I would say this is a pretty risky job. You really need to have a keen eyes for design, detail, quality, craftsmanship. And also, if you're trying to convince your spouse to let's go ahead and do this project, let me save you lots of arguments and disagreements and disappointment. Don't bother convincing anybody if all of the parties who are involved in this project are not in agreement. I would say no go. All right, let's say you have green light. What's the next step? The next step is you want to figure out whether you can compete. So you need your keen eyes. You need to put on your investigator hat, researcher hat, realtor hat. Just pile up all the hats. And we're going to go back to the top, let's say 10 houses that's been sold for the maximum price. And we're going to do some research. First, you want to do some basic research. How many bedrooms do they have? How many bathrooms do they have? It's one thing to add square footage versus adding bathrooms because they're quite expensive to add bathrooms. What's the square footage of the lot size? How many car garage do they have? And what year was it built? And another side note, if you're thinking, well, I was planning to just do a renovation, maybe add some additional square footage, but I don't have plan to knock down my existing home and build a new one. And I'm seeing that out of the 10 houses, some of them are fairly new houses, newly built homes. In that case, wouldn't I be comparing apples and oranges? Shouldn't I just exclude those newly built homes from my CMA? There are some things you can do to compensate your older renovated home and try to sell it at the price of the newly built homes. I'm going to give you some examples about what you can do about that to compensate for those differences in just a little bit. So while you're taking a closer look at those top 10 houses, what you want to make sure is are those houses in comparable neighborhoods? If you can drop a little man in the Google map and look around outside their house, you can do that. Or even better, if you can drive there or walk your dog there or do your morning run there and just take a quick look. What does the house look like from the outside in real life? And what is the house across the street from them look like? What does the house adjacent to them look like on the right, on the left? What's the street look like? How wide is the street? How much traffic do they have? Do they have sidewalk? How wide is the sidewalk? Do they have trees? How many trees do they have? And compare those immediate neighborhood atmosphere with your existing home's immediate neighborhood. Because you don't have control over how your neighbors look and how your street look. So you have to make sure that these 10 houses are comparable houses. And here's another thing you want to do. So open up your favorite app and look at the photographs. And having keen eyes is very important. And if there's open house, I highly recommend going to the open house, seeing things up close, open the doors, open the drawers, open the cabinets, close the drawers, and see how it feels. And walk around the room as if you live there. How does it feel? Does it have a good flow? Go into the kitchen. Imagine you're cooking. You're going to prepare some food. Walk around. Is the kitchen very functional? Does it have a good flow? And pay careful attention to details, especially the kitchen, the bathroom, the windows, the materials that are used throughout the house. You want to be able to distinguish whether this multi-million-dollar home is custom built, designer home where every room, every layout, everything about the house is designed with a lot of thinking, or if it's a builder grade, cookie cutter, just another large house that's copy and paste. And of course, both of these types of houses have different variations, different quality. And for me, the big giveaways are usually the kitchen and the master bedroom's walk-in closet. So for kitchen, just because it's big, the square footage is large, or just because it has so many cabinets does not mean it's a really high quality, well-functioning kitchen. Kitchen can be so large and so hard to work, so hard to store your food and your kitchenware, so hard for the cook to work efficiently. Versus really well thought, well designed kitchen doesn't necessarily have to be big, doesn't even have to have a lot of cabinets. Maybe there are significantly fewer cabinets. And the working triangle, the refrigerator, the stove, the sink, they're all clustered in one area with plenty of counter space just around it. And with the highly functional pantry nearby and the closet. Sometimes when I walk into multi-million-dollar homes, the walk-in closet is a big giveaway. Sometimes you see like the bare minimum, like 2 hanging rods. Like, are you serious? This is a multi-million-dollar home? This is definitely a builder-grade closet. But even builder-grade closet could look like it's a custom closet. It could have some shelvings, double rods. It might look nice, but when you take a close look at it, the materials are MDF, medium density fiberboard. Back. In my opinion, those are not going to last very long. Designer level custom closet would have custom drawers, really nice layout. They really thought about how this person is going to use that space. So there are a variety of spaces and nooks. All the nooks and crannies are used. Maybe even it's got a nice lighting in it. So if you're competing against builder grade multi-million-dollar, it's probably going to be easier for you to compete with. If you're building your home, if you're renovating your home, and you really have a good taste in design and planning to build high quality home, versus if you're competing against custom designed, really high quality homes, it is possible, but it will be harder to compete with. So after you look at the images or visit the open house, you want to basically replicate these homes and also want to up the game a little bit, increase the quality a little bit to make sure you can sell it at the top price. And I think this is a good opportunity to talk about what to do if you're comparing apples and oranges, where some of the houses that you're seeing is newly built and yours is going to be remodeled older home. Here's what you need to do. You want to crank up the design, the features by a few degrees. For example, if the new home has a really nice kitchen and a pantry, you would build your home with really nice kitchen and with butler's kitchen. You're going to have another sink there, plenty of counter space, plenty of storage room, maybe even with oven there. Another thing you can do is, this is a really good one, if the new house has one really nice master bedroom with master bathroom, you're going to build yours with 2 master bedrooms and master bathrooms. And make sure that those 2 master bedrooms are at 2 different corners of the house. And bonus point, if the second master bedroom is on the main floor, that's even better, because some families who are moving in to these large houses are looking to or planning to move in with their parents or in-laws or their elderly so they can take care of them. And they want to be close, but not too close. So that's a really good feature. And another thing you can do is make the outdoor space more usable. If you're planning to build a wraparound porch, for example, portion of the porch can be screened in, so more days out of the year can be used. They can enjoy the hot, humid summer without the bugs. Or you can also add outdoor kitchen, somewhere where people can cook, relax, spend time with their friends and family. And by the way, if the new house that you're comparing has in-ground swimming pool, don't worry about adding swimming pool. It is not worth it. It might be helpful to look at the buyer's perspective. If they're looking for a house, let's continue to stick with the $2.5 million home. If they're looking for a $2.5 million home and they see a brand new home and yours is pretty much identical, of course, they're going to choose the brand new home. So in order to attract them to buy your house, you want to add bonus features. That's how you compensate old versus new home. And real quick, the rule of thumb is you want to make sure that the top selling houses or the max price homes that you're comparing to has to be at least triple your baseline price. Because let's say you have $750,000 home, in order to bring that home to $2.5 million, just the materials and very, very few subcontractor labor would add up to $750,000 or probably more. So that's a very, very rough calculation, and it applies to other numbers. Let's say your home is $300,000. So you want your top selling max price homes that you're comparing to has to be at least closer to $1 million, because it's going to cost you another $300,000 to turn your $300,000 into $1 million home. So that's the very basic rule of thumb. And of course, if you answer these questions and you say, oh, yes, it works for me, it works for me, it works for me, then you want to sharpen your pencil and do more calculations. And bonus tip, you want to make sure where you're going to, you want to do the research ahead of time, where you're going to source your materials. You want to spend as much time as possible on your design and execution ahead of time before you start demolishing. Before you start demolishing. That way you save tons of time when the project is going on. And one last thing, if you're planning to buy the cheapest materials to do the quickest work, hire the cheapest labor, just know that it is going to be really hard to sell your house at the top price. I would say don't bother, because when I bring my clients to homes that are recently renovated or newly renovated, most of the time, unfortunately, when I walk in, I can see some things were done haphazardly. Some things are done with poor materials. When you're walking around, I can hear the clicks of thin laminate floor. And I'm looking at the caulk line and I'm thinking, oh gosh, really? Really? So yeah, if you are not experienced and you're just thinking, well, I'll just make it happen. I'll just fit it in the budget. I would say please don't do it. Just don't do it. We need high quality homes. So those are the very first things you want to know to figure out whether or not you should flip your house. I really hope I saved you tons of time pondering this question. Should I flip my house? And just using a lot of your brain capacity. So whether or not you decide or not to flip your house, let me know what your decision is. And if you did flip your house, I would love to know how it went. Whether you have lessons learned or success story, I'd love to know. Thank you for watching. I'm Achma, realtor in Sterling, Virginia, your guide to maximize the value of your house. Bye.